Climate change is one of the most pressing issues facing our world today. The planet is experiencing unprecedented warming, leading to rising sea levels, more frequent and severe weather events, and other serious consequences. While climate change is caused by a complex web of factors, there are a few key drivers that are having the biggest impact. One of the biggest contributors to climate change is the burning of fossil fuels. When we burn coal, oil, and gas to power our homes, cars, and businesses, we release greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. These gases trap heat from the sun, causing the Earth's temperature to rise. In addition to fossil fuels, deforestation is another major contributor to climate change. Trees absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, so cutting them down releases large amounts of this greenhouse gas. To slow down and prevent climate change, there are many things that people can do. One of the most effective steps we can take is to reduce our use of fossil fuels. This means using energy-efficient appliances, driving less or switching to electric vehicles, and choosing renewable sources of energy like wind and solar power. Another important step is to reduce waste and recycle more, since landfills release methane, another potent greenhouse gas. Individual actions can only go so far, however. We also need systemic change, including policies that encourage companies to reduce their carbon footprint and invest in renewable energy. Governments can also incentivize reforestation and invest in public transportation and infrastructure to support sustainable living. The government has a crucial role to play in the fight against climate change. In recent years, many governments around the world have taken steps to reduce their country's carbon footprints and promote sustainable practices. Here are some of the actions the UK government has taken to address climate change. Net zero commitment. In 2019, the UK government passed a law requiring the country to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. This ambitious goal means that the UK will need to drastically reduce its emissions and offset any remaining emissions through carbon capture and storage or other means. Renewable energy. The government has committed to generating at least 40% of the UK's electricity from renewable sources by 2030. They have also invested heavily in offshore wind energy, which is now the largest source of renewable energy in the UK. Clean transportation. The government has set targets for the transition to electric vehicles, including a ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars by 2030. They have also increased funding for public transportation and cycling infrastructure, to encourage people to use more sustainable modes of transport. Energy efficiency. The government has implemented several policies to improve energy efficiency in homes and buildings. These include minimum energy efficiency standards for rental properties, and grants for homeowners to make energy-efficient upgrades. Carbon pricing. The government has implemented a carbon pricing scheme, which puts a price on carbon emissions and incentivizes companies to reduce their emissions. While these are positive steps, there is still much more that the government could do to address climate change. For example, many climate activists have called for stronger regulations on industries that are heavy polluters, such as aviation and agriculture. Additionally, some have suggested that the UK government should increase funding for renewable energy research and development, to accelerate the transition away from fossil fuels. In summary, the government has taken some important steps to prevent climate change, including committing to net zero emissions and increasing the use of renewable energy. However, there is still much more that needs to be done to address this urgent global issue. It will require a collective effort from individuals, businesses, and governments to slow down and prevent the catastrophic effects of climate change. It's clear that climate change is a complex issue, but by taking individual actions and supporting systemic change, we can slow it down and prevent the most catastrophic consequences. We all have a role to play in creating a sustainable future for ourselves and generations to come.